Hello everyone and welcome to episode 85 of Makai-World Reviews. Why do I always tell you the number? It's just something for me. I'm anal in that way, and I enjoy it in other ways. We are continuing reviews selected by my superfan, Sheena Luthor, a possible third cousin of Lex. After Velvet Goldmine, she laid another film on my doorstep in Antrum. If you want to be like Sheena and have me review a movie, many movies, many comics, check out my revamped Patreon, and for a few bucks, I'll do just that. Don't forget to subscribe as we head into Antrum, the supposed deadliest film ever made. Antrum, directed and written by David Amito, mostly an actor with a few writing credits. I don't really have much to say, unless you really were into TV show The Chosen. Also, Michael Lassetti, creator of the show Who is Mr. Tom? Never heard of it. Starring Nicole Tompkins, has a number of voices for various Resident Evil games, and she was in an episode of American Horror Story. And Rowan Smith has a far more substantial career at a very young age. Anyone else involved in this movie was in Modern Family, South Park, Future Man, which I enjoyed, and NCIS, which I do not. Release date for this was October 14th, 2018, what came out around that in the same week. Kukui the Boogeyman, a hyper-generic horror film with a native kind of flavor on this one that doesn't improve the fact that you've seen this movie 100 times. Nothing else to say here. And The Thinning, New World Order, sequel to a movie with Logan Paul that also has Logan Paul. First one was about killing people who fail a standardized test. This one adds excitement to that hot action of standardized testing with voting irregularities. Whatever. Over to the plot, we have a framework here of a documentary about, of course, the movie Antrum, an elusive and seemingly dangerous Bulgarian film. Here's what we learn. The film was submitted to a variety of film festivals around the time it came out, 1979. Almost all the people who headed those festivals died under various and sometimes mysterious circumstances, though often not. It played at a theater in Budapest, which, due to a customer, burned down the theater, causing a number of deaths. It was shown sometime later at a San Francisco theater, but the person working there behind the counter had spiked the popcorn with LSD, causing massive distress. We are then shown the film, about an hour and 15 minutes with some change, and we get the story of Nathan, whose dog was put down after attacking him for an undisclosed reason. His mother tells him his dog went to hell, so to comfort him, his sister Orale takes him to a local suicide forest to camp out and use a fictional Necronomicon she made to save the dog's soul. In between Nathan's visions and the strange, fake situations his sister made up, they encounter a variety of weirdness, including a Japanese man attempting to commit harikari. He runs off when noticed. A man ferrying people across a lake. Visions of demonic imps. The sound of persistent change, what they presume is Cerberus. After some camping, bonding, and tension, they meet a couple of friendly cannibals who have a Baphomet slow cooker on their junkyard. The brother and sister initially escape them, but they are captured shortly after. Nathan is placed in the cooker, but Orle isn't standing for that, breaking out of her chicken wire prison, and she murders the two with a nearby gun and saves her brother, who is fine, just a bit covered in soot. Both siblings run off in seeming separate directions. Nathan finds an injured dog who had been responsible for the rattling chains caught in like a bear trap. And Orle destroys their campsite and huddles in the tent. She hears the chains of her brother and the dog and seemingly shoots her brother to end the film. We then get a little more documentary framework over the credits, talking about this and that to flesh out the story they're trying to tell. Really need to do a pro-cons on this movie. This is a mixed bag. Trademark on that. Pro, the sound. I'm going to cover the soundtrack right here as well, but the sound direction, the atmosphere is astounding. This made the film, it made the tension, it made the horror, frankly. It was incredibly well used here, from the eerie, vague Eastern European tunes that played in cracked and distorted time signatures, to the building more classical scores with heavy pitch, to the utter silence that let things linger. And it was the silence that let you know something was off, something went wrong with the film. To glimpse a demon or really focus on what's going on. It's completely and totally effective and the best part of the film. The art, the cinematography, and I'm strictly speaking of the Antrum parts, not the talking heads, was also well done. The movie looked good in its own way, has that Slav, jank, moody, orange filtered thing to it that sets the tone and time frame that it wants to convey. It's grim and gritty, and there are these nice, creepy close shots and these beautiful long shots where we see the sunset. They're very telling a visual story, since the dialogue is bordering on non-existent and not important. For all the reasons described in the previous 2 points, the tense moments work really well. Sadly, there are not a ton of them. There's a lot of false tension, sort of musical cues and whatnot, where nothing actually happens. But the stuff with the cannibals, the ending with the dog, are two notable parts that are well done and convey a lot of real tension. The acts both did an excellent job. Orle in particular, showing the stress and the fear. There wasn't enough scenes where stuff actually happened to say more, sadly. And the framing, documentary style thing, was clever in idea. In execution, though, let's move over to the cons. In execution, the framework was disappointing at best. It adds nothing and actively takes away from the film. We are told this is a scary, horror, evil, cursed, etc. But the first thing we hear about are dismissing those ideas outright, forthwith. This is a film. We had reasonable suspension of disbelief. You can lie to us. You can tell us something is fictional, then try to present, oh, here are the reasons those bad things happen. It's like, why do I want to watch this film? The catch is that it's a deadly film, not a film that inconvenient things happen around while it played in the background. That's exactly what the talking heads told us. Before we see the film, and after the film is over, the credits roll and we get a little more documentary stuff. But at this point, the credits are rolling. Why do that? Either make it a documentary style thing or don't. I think it would have been a lot smarter to lean into the horror aspect, not show the whole film, have swatches cut out, missing, unfound, unknown, so we get people talking and about these events, in which we get 5 minutes something of film, we get these tasty pieces of a whole we'll never know. Just the way they did it seemed some kind of half-assed. This goes into the plot issues I have, keeping with the documentary part. Now in the Antrum part of it, we get these continually spliced scenes, logos, and pictures, and supposed murders and demonic people in paint standing around, and all that's kind of cool. Then they immediately explain it all away at the end. The talking heads are like, yeah, a bunch of dicks put stuff in this movie, and they put X amount and X amount of times, and they added some kind of real murder in the bathroom, which is cliche and uninteresting. It proceeds to kill any tension we might have had from the mysteries of the film. I'm not going to get into any plot issues in the actual shorter film because it doesn't matter. Like I do have one issue. Why is it supposedly a Bulgarian film, totally in English, but that's whatever. Now I want to talk about something that I am a fan of, and it relates to why Antrum did and didn't work. That's analog horror. Now, this movie takes some of the groundwork from like the Blair Witch Project 1999. Then you can see that evolution into the internet realm with the Wyoming incident in 2006, Marble Hornets 2009. We get the more modern interpretations. Now this is by no means a complete accurate list or anything. I'm just going to go over important moments in analog horror ARG realm, but CHSS in 2016, Local 58 in 2017, and there are many more that came out before Antrum, and some of those really pushed the boundaries of what we are getting in analog horror. Since then, the Walton Files, Gemini Home Entertainment, the Mandela Catalog, these all move the idea forward into their own realm and unique way, and are a lot more compelling than what Antrum gives us. By 2018, we had seen it. We had seen what they were trying to do here. We had seen it done better. If it had come out, 5 years earlier, or like I said, they leaned into it more of the horror aspect. They told us this was a scary, cursed film. It might have been more effective, but none of that happened. Overall, Antrum was interesting. It really was. Its presentation, its action, the substance to it is well done in a lot of ways, compelling. Ultimately, it's kind of a failure to me. It's too little, too late. I liked this movie, and that may seem strange to call it a failure and then say I liked it, but I think it's interesting, and it's different in the movie genre. It's not different in the realm of internet horror, though. But I can't not compare it to these things that are out there, and were they out there the time it came out? That what they were doing and what it was trying to do had already been done better and more clever at the time. I would say, if you're a fan of analog horror, this is a piece of cinema I would totally recommend. It won't really add anything to what you've seen, but it's got some cool things going on. But ultimately, your Walton Files and whatnot are going to be a lot more substantial than what you're going to get here. If you're not a fan of analog horror or have never watched anything like it, then, hey, maybe this will be something new and different for you. Its mileage will definitely vary, but ultimately, I enjoyed what we got here. Well, that was Antrum, a supposedly cursed film that we are told is not cursed almost right off the bat. What do you consider to be a cursed film? Ishtar, maybe? Let me know down below. Also, check out my Patreon where for a few bucks I review anything you want, like I'm doing here for poor Sheena. Add me on Instagram for daily Twin Peaks memes. Hit up my podcast, Dark Peaks Podcast, and of course, come back next week where I'll be looking at Bronson. This has been the Eternal Makai, Master of Minds and Men. Thank you very much, and goodbye.